is before you. Choose positive.
To dance with my father again.
Happy birthday.
I've tried. Thank you guys in advance for all your prayers, all your condolences. It means the world to me. But I'm gonna make it through this one. If I can make it through this one, I can make it through anything. Literally, I can make it through anything. This is the toughest time in my life. This is the toughest time in my family's life. Because the patriarch, my father, my hero, is no longer with us. But I am happy. I am so happy that I had the last 6-ish weeks to be with him, to hold him, to talk to him, to continue to ask questions of him, to seek the wisdom from him. That's what he always did. That's blessed. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.
I was born June 21st, 1989, and I was born to in a single parent household. I think that already kind of established a bit of confusion in me, just because I didn't have a father figure. My dad was very inconsistent. He would come into my life in seasons and then come out of my life. And so my entire framework of men for a long time was that men were not to be trusted, that men said things that they did not believe, that men did things that they did not really want to do, specifically when it related to me. I was introduced to pornography around the age of 5 or 6, and I was molested around the age of 7.
Shout out to all the fathers out there, and to all the fathers out there. It ain't easy, but realize you got nothing to prove to anybody but yourself and your kid. Being a modern man, being a modern father ain't easy. It's a thankless job in a lot of ways. There's ups and downs, but celebrate yourself, because the culture, the world is not into celebrating men. The world is into telling men you're bad, when Gillette is telling men that they need to be better. So we're at an upside down point. So it's going to be important that this weekend you celebrate yourself. It's going to be important that you call your brother who's a father and tell him, hey, you're doing a good job, even if he doesn't have his kids, because this weekend some men won't have their children because of situations beyond their control.
Now, there are many attractive women that may be good women on paper, and maybe they got a kid or they got a few kids. And I know that it doesn't really sound good, and it doesn't sound attractive, and it doesn't sound friendly when you hear a man say, it ain't worth dating a single mother. I understand I understand how that may make some of you guys feel. I totally get it. But the main reason why a man, it just doesn't make sense for him to be a stepdad is because you're just a resource. You're not going to be able to parent them children in a way differently than mom has parented them. You still got to provide love, protection, resources, direction, guidance for children that you can't even discipline. It basically boils down to not being worth the trouble.
With my friends though, it was simple. When the end's low, switch the tempo. I go right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night. 1 to 1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brother's blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose, the fam of the cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that. Pressure like water, lights, mortgage, I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for nothing. Me, I go to war for something.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was.
When the end's low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike. I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, need all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if the dogs pretend? What if you rode to the end? What if you started again?
Fire! The kosher clinician.
All right, guys, I'm bringing to you live once again from the greatest state in the union. This is Father's Day, guys. Such an honor to be before you esteemed men on Father's Day. This is the day where men come together to be celebrated. But we know here in the confines of America, many times on Father's Day, the love, power, valor, and leadership of men are diminished. I created the Kosher Clinician as a way to say that every day is Father's Day. And today, guys, not only do we celebrate you every day, because many times here in America, traditional men are not given the credence that they deserve. Get your pens and paper ready, guys. I'm going to drop some fire for your mind. Let's do it.
Bringing to you live once again from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause, only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles.
All right, guys, thank you once again for tuning in on Father's Day. And the man you see behind me is my dad. As you guys can see, I don't know if you guys can see on the other side, but that's my dad. My dad's this is about 27 years ago. And as you guys know, I'm about 6'5", 6'6". My dad at the time was about 6 feet or 6'1". But this day is dear to me because I found out by scrolling throughout the internet that MTR's father had passed away. And it brought great distress to my heart, as that man has been through so much. Dealing with colon cancer, and now sadly his father has succumbed to his untimely demise. You know, the scripture says on this Sunday that life is as a vapor, and I'm so honored to have my dad in my life. I didn't realize the power of a father and the power of fatherhood until I became a father myself And even the wee hours of my life, I'm beginning to understand my own mortality. And my dad will be 80 years old soon. My parents have been married for over 50 years. And as I think about my father's mortality, it makes me realize how much that I actually love him even more now, because I was able to experience some guys that many have not experienced, and that's the health, the love, the power, and the salubrity of having a father. Fathers are important. Having a dad in your life is not only important, but it's instrumental to your mental health and also to your well-being. Being a licensed therapist, it's been seen and cited that when children have fathers, they're at greater or less risk of not only maladaptive behavior, but they have risk factors that are protective factors that could reduce them getting caught up in behavior that's not consistent with their long-term sustainability. My father wasn't a man of a lot of words. My dad was the type of man that many times he didn't really say a lot like a lot of men back then. But my dad was a good man, still is a good man. And, my dad worked so many shifts, and I never forget guys from growing up, because so many men minimize the importance of what their worth is and what their needs are, that, many times during the holidays, men have been so conditioned with, not wanting anything or achieving anything, that when it comes down to their needs, we sacrifice our needs for the greater good of the family. And, I was so touched by MTR's story because I could hear him talk so highly of his father and how his father was so exuberant about the times when his son paid off his house, paid off extraneous amounts of debt. And sadly, so many kids have never had the opportunity that MTR had, or what I currently have now. And I'm so honored, man, because if I precede my father in death, or if my father precedes me in death, my father will always live within me. And that's why I encourage men to get with women that you can build a legacy with. If you can't find your wife here in America, start looking abroad or work on yourself until you can put yourself in the financial position to get you a woman that's consistent with loving you, respecting you, and honoring you. Some of you men work so hard. Some of you men try to give so much, but it's not enough. And I don't remember the level of entitlement that you men see now. And guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, donate to the channel, if you will, please. Some of you men have been so great. I know we're in an economic recession, but some of you men continue to show love. Shout out to James Turner, XL Pro, Top Gun, Andrew Baker, MC Recovery and Wellness, Ash. So many other brothers have shown so much love and support in the past. And men, because of you all, it makes it worth the time and the energy to continue to do male-centered content. Male-centered content is not easy because many times it could be suppressed, because I believe that many don't want to see men liberated. Being a licensed therapist, I see so many things, guys. And, being a man, you want to be in a state of balance, You want to be relaxed. You don't want to be in a state where you're constantly arguing and fussing and fighting. And having a father in your life is consistent or synonymous with smooth jazz. It's consistent with having peace, security, and safety. But so many young men don't have fathers because of a myriad of reasons. Some of it could be that the moms picked men that were not adequate, or the moms became angry or incensed or embittered because the man that they wanted didn't want them. And as we continue to celebrate fathers on Father's Day, not only do our boys need love, solace, peace, clarity, and guidance, our boys need somebody that can help them push through the barriers in life, that can help them establish and reaffirm what their identity is. And, I think what was so telling, guys, when President Obama did My Father's Keeper initiative, it was met with so much backlash. And, I hear so many women talk about, they want a good man and, they want a man that can protect them. But when it comes down to protecting the interests of boys and men, many times, guys, it's met on deaf ears. One of the things I've learned in this journey called life is that you can't depend on anyone. The only person that you can depend on is yourself. And consistent with what Whitney Houston said back in the 80s, she said that learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. I remember men when I was on my, path to greatness and success, when I got multiple degrees, no one celebrated me on my ascension but my immediate family. And what that told me at that particular nexus in my life is that many saw men, good men like yourself of Gen X, Zennials, Millennials, and the current Alpha Z generations. They saw you men as the enemies. They saw you men as the harbingers of despair. And they saw you as part of being part of the evil patriarchy, a patriarchy that oppresses them and minimizes their freedom. But listen, guys, we know that that's a fallacy. We know that that's not true. And at the end of the day, men don't, or black men in general, never had the power to oppress no one. And I think what you're beginning to see now, guys, is that guys are beginning to recuse themselves and beginning to focus on themselves and beginning to love themselves and see the vitality of being a man in modern times. Even though the world appears to be turning upside down, so many men are beginning to travel and beginning to do what's best for them. And it brings me with great joy because what I see, guys, in practice, many times it will flabbergast you. You would be surprised the amount of men that sabotage their power or broken their power for the sake of appeasing their woman or a woman. And I've told you men before in the past that in a relationship, relationships are based on mutual or reciprocity. And so, I'm excited on this Father's Day. I'm excited for the men that are listening because I'm going to see my dad tomorrow if God let me live. I'm going to do his DNA ancestry. And there's a part of me that's missing because my father never knew his father, his biological father. And so there's a part of my bloodline that I don't know, and some of you men that are listening lack identity. And that's why fathers are so important. Fathers are so important, guys, because fathers bring identity. Fathers help boys and girls process through their pain. Fathers give daughters the love and the adulation that they need. And fathers help boys to stay temporary in their pain and realize that there's greater outside of their pain. When boys can process outside of their pain and understand that their purpose supersedes their pain, consistent with the great teacher Jesus, that they will not no longer all be slaves to their current pain, but they will rise up above their pain and not let their pain reduce their greater purpose because of the temporary pain. Sometimes our mothers, in good faith, and sometimes they do it, they don't do it intentionally, they arrest the development of our young boys because many times, instead of pushing them to greatness, they don't want to see their baby stressed out or hurt. And that's why fathers, guys, are so important. Fathers are so important because true masculine fathers help their boys process and move forward in life instead of being slaves to their temporary condition. And that's why I'm so excited once again, guys, because men are beginning to wake up. Men are beginning to love themselves. Men are beginning to get young women outside of America, or if they can't find their wives here. And I advocate for men to travel abroad. I advocate that men do what's best for them because tomorrow is not promised to any man. And, Kevin Samuels was an ardent person. He was ardent about keeping relationships here in America. And while I would say I agree with about 90% of what Kevin talked about many times, I was more of an advocate for men traveling outside of America, guys. I was an advocate for men traveling outside of America because I thought that traveling, or I believed that traveling outside of America gave men the best options to get the kind of woman they want and the kind of relationships that they want. But I want to speak life to some of you men that never had fathers. Your greater is later if you can stay the course. If you can continue to surround yourself around masculine men that think like you, or more or less have values and standards that are consistent with being masculine, you'll win in the end. Someone once said that the world is an oyster, and I believe that it is an oyster. And it's yours for the taking if you have the discipline, if you have the boundaries, and if you have the values that are consistent with change. Every day you live your life in servitude to a country or women that don't honor and respect you as a man, you greatly diminish what your worth is. And one of the things I've learned, guys, over time is this. There was an old saying by this group called Commission, hold tight. And the saying by Commission was that love isn't love until you give it away. And I'll share something with you guys. I had a situation, and shout out to my dad. I had a situation when I was growing up as a kid. And I always wonder, why did my dad not show me any love? You know, why did he ever show me any affection? And as I said earlier, my dad worked all the time. He was many times not home because he worked 3 shifts. But I remember, I don't know if it was God or the Spirit or just my inner consciousness that said that love isn't love until you give it away. And so, because my dad never saw love growing up in an affectionate way, it was impressed upon me that in order for me to receive the love of my father, I had to give love away in order to get the love back from him. And so I hugged my father. And ever since then, I began to hug my father and embrace my dad. And some of you men are broken because you've never known what love is or had the opportunity to have anybody to pour into you or more or less have anybody to give you the things that you need. So we're going to get deep into it, guys, in a few minutes. Show some love, support the channel. Because some of you guys have never had the opportunity to dance with your father. So hit the like button, guys. Get the likes up on this Father's Day. The robot just texted me and said, tell them Negroes to donate to the channel and also to get the likes up, guys. Get the likes up and donate to the channel, please. Thank you.
To dance with my father again.
All right, so, you know, that song from the 90s, man, guys, I tell you, man, it was a great honor to grow up in the 90s. I consider the 90s the last of the great generation where men still serenaded women. Average women got with average men. And even though teen pregnancy was high in the 90s, baby mama culture wasn't celebrated. Being a thought wasn't celebrated. And for the most part, even though men have never really truly been respected, there was a higher level of respectability as it related to men and masculinity. We're going to talk about 3 things on the day. As you guys know, Kevin Samuels left a void for so many men when he passed away. A lot of men were broken. They didn't have any identity. They didn't realize what worth they had. And many suffered in silence, and they had a great catharsis because Kevin, to many men, was the father they never had. And it's unfortunate because you shouldn't have to look up to another man to fill the void that should have been given to you by your own biological father. But with 80% of children being born or more or less raised in single-parent homes, it speaks to the greater dysfunction that we have here in the current confines of America. Children that are not born or in fatherless homes are more at risk of, as I said earlier, deviant behavior, dropping out of school, high recidivism, promiscuity, having children out of wedlock, low academic achievement, low self-esteem, and they are at greater risk of personality disorders. And being a therapist, guys, I see it all the time. And that's why these shows are so important, because you won't find a therapist with my pedigree that's coming to you live to give you some type of clarity and credence that can give you the encouragement, the power that you need to push forward and also to move forward. So once again, guys, we're going to explore in a few minutes the MTR situation. And as we get ready to explore, guys, we're about to go down the rabbit hole and explore some of the foolishness, but not the foolishness, but why so many men are checking out and why these conversations are so important on this day called Father's Day.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate.
All right, guys, let's get into it a little bit. And happy Father's Day once again. But once again, guys, if you know, MTR Father passed away. And it just prompted me to get ready to celebrate my dad while he's here on this planet, as I said earlier. And once again, MTR, if you're listening, my heart goes out to you. My heartfelt condolences. You've had a tumultuous last 3 years with having cancer. I would say Kevin Samuels is like a big brother to you because Kevin was a couple of years older than me, or we were close to the same age because I'll be 52 this year. And it's unfortunate, man. So my heart goes out to you, brother. I lost my sister about a year ago. And I can only imagine so much death and so much pain and sorrow in such a short span of time. And that's why I encourage men to live their lives on their own purpose. Don't worry about the naysayers or the critics or those that use shame and language to control you. Just keep moving forward, man. And continue to encourage and inspire other men on Father's Day, a day that many times men and their worth and their power and their might is minimized. So let's look at this, guys. Let's look at this. And that's the power, guys, of a father. Fathers give their sons purpose. Fathers give their sons an identity. Fathers give their sons a meaning for life. There was a time in the black community, one would argue that black people were some of the most resilient people in the world. But now the deletion rate of boys and the deletion rate of our young people in general has risen in the last couple of decades. And that speaks or more or less attests to the lack of guidance and the lack of communities and the lack of fathers. And so you can see the joy and the exuberance of MTR with him hugging his father. And another thing, guys, is one of the reasons why so many of you men are struggling in relationships now, you're struggling with your women because some of these young women have been broken too. They have never seen masculine authority. They've never seen men give direction and order. And that's why so many had such animus towards Kevin Samuels, because they never heard their daddy say no When they say daddy, please, they've never heard their daddy say no. They've never seen the veracity or the tenacity of a James Evans, a masculine archetype that said what he meant what he said. And actually James Evans was terrorizing to some. They've never seen that. And because they've never seen it, you are at a great disadvantage because you're going to try to retrain a woman that's never been trained or socialized to understanding what masculinity is or heteronormative masculinity. And that's why, guys, if you can't find your wife here, a traditional woman that's ready to be on your program if you've done the work. I don't believe men should try to get with women if they're lazy, they don't work, and they don't have a purpose. But what I'm finding is that there are guys that have done all the requisite work and they still can't get the kind of women that they want. So let's finish looking at this little clip with MTR, his father. And once again, my heart goes out to that brother.
What are you doing? Happy birthday.
And that's a very young MTR. He looked like he was in his 20s. And we'll look at more of the video or parts of that video at some point. Just hold tight.
I've tried. Thank you guys in advance for all your prayers, all your condolences. It means the world to me. But I'm gonna make it through this one. If I can make it through this one, I can make it through anything. Literally, I can make it through anything.
And guys, you know, the sadness associated with death is that death is so terminal. The sadness associated with death is that it's so terminal. And that's why I challenge you men to live your lives on purpose and to live your life on your own terms. Don't let people minimize what your worth is. Don't let anyone dim your light. If you've done the work as a man, if you went to school, if you study hard, if you're the blue collar worker that has honed this craft, don't let anyone try to shame you for being a plumber, a bus driver, an electrician, a construction worker, or any other profession. Because the same women that shame you here in America, you will be highly appreciated in other countries. And that's why I tell men not to worry about these entitled women here in the West that are reducing and minimizing your worth, which in essence can lower your self-esteem and which in essence can reduce your mental health.
This is the toughest time in my life. This is the toughest time in my family's life. Because the patriarch, my father, my hero, is no longer with us. But I am happy. I am so happy.
And guys, that's what happens when you don't have the presence of a father. That's what happens when the void of a masculine father is gone away. You know, we hear so much negative language and energy towards, this patriarchy. It's always seen as something bad. But there's a such thing called the kosher patriarchy that's healthy. And I think many times because some of our women and some of our men have been through vicarious trauma, on the men's side, we create projection and hatred towards men and structure and fathers, and therefore we produce simps. But then we get women that want to be in control of the situation because of the brokenness that they went through. And because of that, no one gets helped in the process. That's why therapy is so important. And if some of you are struggling, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. I am a licensed clinical therapist. I do these shows as a way to mirror art and life. And because many times if I were use some of the nomenclature of clinical terms and technology or technicalities, some of you won't understand what I'm talking about. So I try to use art because me doing this show is more of an art to talk about some of the issues that are permeating here in America.
That I had the last 6-ish weeks to be with him. to hold him, to talk to him, to continue to ask questions of him, to seek the wisdom from him. That's what he always did. That's blessed. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.
I was born June 21st.
And, you know, as I said earlier, guys, the legacy of your fathers will always live within you. With trepidation, I have a lot of trepidation because I know at some point my dad is going to be gone too. I don't know how much time God got for my dad here on this earth. But, you know, the gospel said that God said, I give you 70 and 10, and everything after that is pain and sorrow. And my dad is a good man. He's a good man. He's an honest man. He loves people. And he has the same work ethic that I have. My work ethic is like my father. It's a puritanical work ethic. And it's just amazing what I've accomplished, even though my parents had nowhere near the education I got. My dad, I think, got to the 12th grade. And he never graduated, and neither did my mom. But I saw my dad's work ethic, his love for family, and his love for community. And he didn't necessarily talk like so many men talk to their sons about life and women and relationships. But he led and did the best of his ability, because many times our fathers are going through their own brokenness. You know, on Father's Day, many times we talk about the atrocities of men and manhood. We talk about all the negative things that people tend to associate with the past. But we never talk about the trauma that our fathers went through, or our grandfathers went through, and why the behaviors that they saw manifest could have been a manifestation of unresolved trauma. I want you guys to listen to this young lady too. She talks about, as I did a show earlier, about not having a father in her life.
1989, and I was born to in a single parent household. I think that already kind of established a bit of confusion in me, just because I didn't have a father figure. My dad was very inconsistent. He would come into.
And guys, having a father is, once again, it's extremely important. Fathers tend to give girls the love and the guidance, and many would say that a father is a girl's first true boyfriend, because he gives her the example and the blueprint of what she should look for in a man. And fathers give boys, masculine fathers, cerebral fathers give boys guidance, value, structure, order, and discipline. And once again, when kids don't have fathers in the home, it becomes very dangerous. Children are at greater risk of child abuse and sexual abuse when they don't have fathers in the home. And I'm just so grateful, man. I'm so grateful that I was able to experience what so many kids never experienced. The generation of Gen X, as I always said, was the last great generation, and I stand on that. And so even though I know there was a cascade of kids not having families growing up when I did, I think we saw more kids in intact families back in when I was in high school in the 90s and also the early years in middle school, in elementary school in the 70s, in the 80s. And so we know the times have changed tremendously, with 80% of our kids being born in single parent homes. But I'm just so grateful and honored, man. And I'm going to cherish my dad and love him as much as I can, because I don't know how much longer my father have on this earth. Hell, I could go before my dad. So keep listening.
My life in seasons and then come out of my life. And so my entire framework of men for a long time was that men were not to be trusted, that men said things that they did not believe, that men did things that they did not really want to do, specifically when it related to me. I was introduced to pornography around the age of 5 or 6, and I was molested around the age of 7.
Imagine your daughter or your child being molested or abused at the age of 6 or 7. And that's what happens when you don't have fathers. I did a show with Dr. Thunder earlier, and we talked about the importance of having fathers in the homes, the importance of having that masculine presence. They did a study, guys, of wild elephants. And in that study of juvenile elephants, when the bull elephants, which were the older male elephants, went around, the juveniles went wild. They went wild. But strong masculine men bring structure and balance and order. And I'm not talking about a simp daddy or a simp father. I'm talking about a strong masculine father that knows his worth. He demands his respect, and he doesn't tolerate BS. He's loving, but at the same time, he's strong and firm. And that's why so many the women that you deal with here in America cannot accept strong masculine men. They misuse the word misogyny. Misogyny just means you hate women. American men don't hate women. They love our women, but we just don't love the behavior. And so they overuse words like misogyny and all toxic masculinity because they are projecting or living through the vicarious trauma of their mothers and bad relationships that they got into. And they accost and assess and associate all black men as being the men that hurt them in the past. And that's why therapy is so important.
Shout out to all the fathers out there. And to all the fathers out there, it ain't easy. But realize you got nothing to prove to anybody.
And this was Kevin Samuels talking about stepfathers. Many will argue that being a stepfather is a thankless job. It's a thankless proposition. And me personally, I don't advocate for men to be stepfathers for the most part. And you'll see why I feel that way earlier, guys, because being a stepfather, once again, in America, guys, you really can't raise the kid the way you want to raise them. And many times when you try to raise them and try to give your imprint or your input, that child is not your biology. And so just like fathers are not always respected on Father's Day, they're given BS gifts like, ties and tools. They give our fathers things that symbolize utility. We don't associate the love of our mothers like we do our fathers. But what I find strange, guys, is that in theology, it says, love thy father, honor thy father and thy mother. It doesn't say honor thy mother and thy father. It say honor thy father and thy mother. And the father is supposed to always be honored first. But sadly, here in America, we don't have that. And that's why, once again, guys, these conversations are so important. Hold tight.
But yourself and your kid. Being a modern man, being a modern father ain't easy. It's a thankless job in a lot of ways. There's ups and downs, but celebrate yourself. Because the culture, the world is not into celebrating men. The world is into telling men you're bad. When Gillette is telling men that they need to be better. So we're at an upside down point. So it's going to be important that this weekend you celebrate yourself.
And yes, we are at an upside down point. Up is down, down is up. And guys, I commission you on today to celebrate yourself. Celebrate the things that are important to you, and also ensure that you're taken care of. Go get a spa. Go to the spa. Get your pedicure. Get your toes clean. Get you a nice meal. Get you some rest. Do whatever you think is necessary to make you feel good on this special day.
So it's going to be important that you call your brother who's a father and tell him, hey, you're doing a good job, even if he doesn't have his kids, because this weekend some men won't have their children because of situations beyond their control.
Now, there are many attractive women that may be good women on paper, and maybe they got a kid or they got a few kids. And I know that it doesn't really sound good, and it doesn't sound attractive, and it doesn't sound friendly when you hear a man say, it ain't worth dating a single mother. I understand I understand how that may make some of you guys feel. I totally get it. But the main reason why.
But you know what? The same way it might make those women feel, imagine a man saying that, or hearing a man hear that $42,000 is not enough. Imagine a man hearing that you're not tall enough, or you're not good enough because of your penis size, or you're not good enough because of whatever metric that women tend to judge men by. But you know, it's never fun until the rabbit get the gun. It's no fun until the rabbit get the gun. And when you go to healthy countries where the women respect and honor their men, getting a good woman, man, will help you live a lot longer, man. And That's why I just advocate for men to travel, man, and enjoy their lives, man, and embrace life. You know, I just count the honor to be a blessing to my dad in my latter years. My dad always sacrificed for his children, and my dad was blessed 100-fold after my sister passed, and will continue to be blessed as long as I have anything to do with it, and as long as I'm here on this earth. But God, tell me what y'all continue to think about what this young man is saying. Hold tight.
A man, it just doesn't make sense for him to be a stepdad, is because you're just a resource. You're not going to be able to parent them children in a way differently than mom has parented them. You still got to provide love, protection, resources.
And guys, think about providing love, protection, and resources to another man's seed. Some laugh, or some laughingly say, or jokingly say, another man's ejaculation. That child is not your image. And see, it would be one thing, guys, if you got a woman that had a child and she was humble and she did everything in her power to make you feel good. She let you discipline that child. But most women don't want men to touch their kids because that child came out of them. And you got a greater chance of disciplining a child that's yours than discipline somebody else's child. When you marry a woman that got a kid, you got to share that woman with the man or her ex or her exes. And who want to relive the trauma of seeing different men spend time with your wife, knowing that man created life with your wife, when you can start your life and start your life with a woman from a country where the odds of finding a traditional woman is greater. We know women in other countries, like in South America, might have kids, but they're still a different type of woman. And many times those women are a lot more grateful. But here's the funny thing. Men in South America don't look at women that have kids by other men. It's a shame. It's a stigma. And there was a stigma when I was coming up as a young man. But the times has changed now, guys, sadly.
Direction, guidance for children that you can't even discipline. It basically boils down to not being worth the trouble.
Right. And that's what so many men are saying. They're saying that it's not worth the trouble. It's not worth the trouble. And a lot of men are saying, you know what, I got my money, I got my act together, and before I waste my time dealing with the shenanigans here in America, I'll just step my game up and travel abroad and get me a woman from another country. And the crazy thing is, guys, you can't blame him. You can't blame a man for saying he wants a woman from another country, or a woman that's consistent with his value system, or a woman that makes him feel good, or a woman that will respect him. So I don't blame a man for doing that, guys, and neither should you. Because as I said earlier, life is fleeting. We're going to take this quick intermission. Guys, donate to the channel on this Father's Day. Get the likes up. Guys, support male-centered content. Male-centered content is necessary. And I know we're in a recession, but the more you donate and support the channel, it helps me grow. It helps me continue to buy the adequate equipment and give you men what you need in these current times. So once again, guys, donate to the channel. We're about to go into an intermission. If you've been emasculated, go check out this book by Edward Field IV. And go check the book out, guys, if you've been emasculated. Thank you.
Have you been distressed or perplexed? Emasculated. A book written by Edward Fields IV. Everything that needs to be known about men in modern time. Listen, men are not complex. They are misunderstood and unappreciated. Learn what men really feel, think, and desire. Also observe their struggle for acceptance, love, and belonging. A must read for every man in this classic book by Edward Fields IV. Emasculated. Go get your copy now.
All right, guys, we're about to continue down the rabbit hole, and let's look at this. Let's look at this. Some of this video clip of MTR, some more of this video clip of him talking about the love he had for his father. And once again, MTR, if you are listening, my heartfelt condolences, brother. You will be in my prayers and my thoughts. And I can only imagine, man, the trauma that you're dealing with in your father's untimely demise.
As he was transitioning, I kissed him on his forehead multiple times and told him that I loved him. He told me I let him know, Dad, it's okay. You're in a lot of pain. It's okay. You can let go. You did everything that you needed to do. You taught us everything that we needed to know. Your legacy will continue to live on within me. And because of that, to me, you're gonna live forever. My father died within my arms. I was holding him as he took his final breath. But it was an absolute privilege to be there, to have done so. Because just as he was one of the first people to hold me for my first breath, I was the last person to hold him for his last. I've been over here looking at this picture that I have right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is try to get me out of focus.
And guys, that's powerful. That is a powerful picture of MTR and his father. That's a very powerful picture. A young version of MTR, and that's him and his dad. MTR appears to be way taller than his father. Was taller. But I can only imagine the pain, man. I can only imagine it, man.
Probably like 11, 12, something like that. Yeah, I was a late bloomer. Please don't look at my damn boots, all right? We didn't have a lot of money. Those are not Timbs, those are Fims. You understand me? All right? You had to do what you had to do when you were a Payless shopper. This is one of my most favorite. This is one of my favorite pictures of him. Looking up at my hero, the man that sacrificed his life to stop what he was doing, because at the point that I was born and at the point that he became a single father, he knew what the task was. He knew what he had to do. If I had the opportunity to ask him a question on the recorder, I would have asked him, you know, what does it mean to be a father? What are the key things that you would always think through in order to continue to raise me to be within your likeness, within your image? While I didn't get an opportunity to ask him, I think I would know exactly what he would say. Just as I mentioned before, there's been a couple of times where I featured my father on the channel. One of those was when I paid off my condo, my first home, and I called him and told him, recorded.
And I think I remember him when he paid off his condo. I remember it like yesterday. how exuberant he was and his father was, and you're here part of it. We're going to speed it up at some point, guys. And once again, happy Father's Day. And my heartfelt condolences to MTR and his father and his untimely demise.
Heard that phone call and then I put it into some content.
How are you, son?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just sitting here. My face hurts from smiling so much.
Why is that?
That's another first. You know.
What?
You're the first person in the family to get an MBA. First person in the family well, I don't know about the whole family, but in this family.
And similar to MTR, guys, I was the first one in my family to graduate my associates in law enforcement. I was the first to graduate from a prestigious school, a top 29 school. My class, my university was ranked #1 in the nation. I mean, the state of North Carolina, UNC Chapel Hill. And as I said, guys, you can tell his father celebrating him, but many times momentous occasions associated with black men, they're never celebrated, man. And that's why I take the time, guys, to celebrate you on this day, to celebrate you for your accomplishments, your hard work, and your desire to be respected, whether you, the factory worker, the blue-collar brother, the janitor or whatever. You're worthy, you're respected, you're needed, you're valued. And if anyone haven't told you about the value of you being a man, I'm telling you now, hold your head up and never let anyone diminish your shine as a man.
I mean, here, they have a new car. Because I ain't never had a new car. Can't afford it.
Yeah.
And first person to pay off his house in 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable. That's something, man. Wow.
Yeah.
That's putting your money in the right places where you're really setting your life up for later.
Mm-hmm.
You really are.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's like money in the bank too. You know? So
because it's an investment. I say because it's an investment because it's different than a car. Because it's a depreciating asset, but this home is not going to depreciate. So it's, I think it's money well spent.
Well, the thing is that you're not paying interest on a loan anymore, too.
Mm-hmm.
So then that adds to your money.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do go to sell it, it's not like you got to pay off a mortgage to see any kind of profit, on that, because you've either, you didn't refinance, you didn't do all those things. So, but you absolutely did what most Americans can't do, let alone think of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can't begin to tell you. That's a real proud moment.
Wow. I mean, every year it's been every time that I've had debt, it's been 2.5 years from undergrad. When I was doing, I started off at like $45,000 a year with $20,000 to $25,000 in debt. That took me 2.5 years. When I graduated with my MBA, thank goodness I had a full tuition ride scholarship, but all of the cost of living and then that trip to Europe that I took, I came out with like $45,000. That took me about 2.5 years. Wow. And then I started this at the end of 2018 for the mortgage, and that took me 2.5 years. So it's been exponential increases in the amount. This is by far the largest increase of what I had to pay off in the 2.5 years, but it took me about 2.5 years, a little less than 2.5. Years to pay this one off.
Yeah, that's amazing. But what that does, that puts you in more control of your life.
Mm-hmm. That's really it. Yeah, I mean that's the reason why I did it, is just for absolute and utter control. Because really, right now, I mean, technically, I'm financially independent right now. I wouldn't have to work again unless my life changed in some way, my lifestyle changed in some way. But I mean, after I pay this off, it's just taxes and food and utilities.
I mean, I think you understand it now at 35. You're gonna really appreciate that at 45. 55, because the one thing you can't do, you can't buy more time. So as you get older, you know, you realize that those things that you put in place, and then every subsequent project that you do, it's going to be even more money in the.
And what his father said is so profound. You can't buy more time, because now is the time, and time is all you have and we have. And in the extreme urgency of now's the time to grab the moment and grab the proverbial bull by the horns to become the man that you need to be. Not only here in America, but wherever you decide to go in the world. And that's why this conversation about Father's Day, the urgency of time, not relegating yourself to a lesser level in America is so important.
So you're going to be able to even save more now than what you ever were able to save, because you won't have that mortgage, which was probably your biggest monthly, looking at. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Love you. That's wonderful. I'm glad so much. Excellent. All right. I'll talk with you later.
All right. See you there. The second time that I featured on the channel was actually a YouTube short where I surprised him home and he started like running towards me.
Man, that's so powerful, man. I remember this episode where MTR serenaded his father with the car. That's so powerful, man. And it's even more heartbreaking now with his dad's untimely demise. This is the power, guys, of fatherhood. This is what fatherhood and sonship should look like. And this is what happens where your dad pours into you in your earlier life and you turn around and pour back into him in his latter years.
That was the second time. And then the third time I actually wanted to go over right here. It was actually last Father's Day. So let me just read it. My father has a habit of saving absolutely everything from my childhood. He recently sent me a picture of this note that I wrote as a child for the Who Is Your Hero essay. Happy Father Day, my G's. You are appreciated.
And guys, let's look at what MTR said about his dad. My hero in my life is my dad. He has always been there when I needed help or just needed someone to talk to. He inspires, teaches, shows, and explains everything to me. Even the littlest question would be answered if I needed help in math, language, or science. My dad was right there helping me. One special occasion, we would go out to ride our bikes, go to the arcades, or even go to see a movie. When I was not feeling well, he will always be there. Anytime I needed or sometimes wanted something, he would be there too. Whatever I did with my dad was fun. In conclusion, I think my dad is a hero because he was always there for me, man. Wow, that's powerful, man. Salute to you, MTR, man, for loving your dad, man, and aggrandizing your father the way a good father should be aggrandized.
Hero in life is my dad. He has always been there when I needed help or just someone to talk to. He inspires, teaches, shows, and explains everything to me. Even the littlest of questions would be answered. If I needed help in math, language, or science, my dad was right there helping me. On special occasions, we would go out to ride our bikes. go to the arcades, or even go to see a movie. When I was not feeling well, he would always be there. Anytime I needed or sometimes wanted something, he would be there too. Whatever I did with my dad was fun. In conclusion, I think my dad is a hero because he's always there for me. To all the fathers out there, soon to be fathers, or men that are thinking about being fathers, just as I've always said on my channel, do everything in your power to be in your child's life.
So now we're searching for the magic frequency. And we start with 100.
Everything. To all of the boy dads out there, soon to be boy dads, do everything in your power to stay in the life of your boy. I personally don't know where I would be or what type of person I would be if my father wasn't there to demonstrate the characteristics of success, the characteristics of manhood. I would have not have had the tools in my toolkit to be who I am today by no stretch means of the imagination. To my pops, thank you, Dad. Thank you. Although your physical presence is no longer here, you will always be with me. I will try my hardest to uphold your legacy. I may mess up sometimes, but such is life. But I'll keep it classy, just like you asked me to. All right. What I also wanted to show you guys is a video from last year where a young...
All right, guys, we'll stop this right here. And we'll look at briefly one of the clips that Kevin Samuels had before he passed away. And these guys will continue to add conversation to Father's Day. I hope you guys are enjoying this show. It's sad. It's refreshing, but empowering at the same time. So we got one more we're going to look at. We're going to look at it, look into it a little bit, and then, guys, we'll go from there. So hold tight. This was Kevin Samuels talking about why stepfathers, why men dislike being stepfathers. We'll listen to a little bit of this, and then we'll end the stream shortly.
So, love your mother for who she is, but that's her life. If you want something different, you're gonna have to get around women who want the same things you want and can help you out. Because men go looking for wives, and they pick from the women who already have wifely skills. So, appreciate it, young lady. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye bye. See, and I think it's sad that so many young ladies looking at their mothers and they love their mothers, but they really say, "I don't want to be like my mama," but they can't go to their mama and say, "You know what, mama? Now." I know you chose to be out here doing what you do, but me, I want something different. I want to be your wife. And see, a lot of times, daughters fear saying that kind of stuff because their mothers may feel like it's a rejection of them. You get to pick your life, just like your mom picked her life. You shouldn't have to feel bad by choosing something different. Choosing something different doesn't mean you're rejecting your mother. It just means you're choosing you. Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How old are you?
36.
Okay. Married, single or nah?
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah?
Definitely, yes.
You have any children?
I do. I have a son.
Okay. How old is he?
10.
Okay. How long were you with the child sponsor?
I was with him for 6 years.
Are you divorced?
No, we never got married.
Any particular reason why?
It just was It wasn't a healthy relationship.
Oh, another toxic relationship.
It was. I mean, I got in it when I was young. I know, right? It's like status quo. But I got into it when I was younger because I had my son at 26. He and I got together when I was 23.
I'm shaking my head because I need you ladies to understand how full of sound. Y'all all coming in the same toxic relationships.
No.
Listen.
Okay.
Y'all all sound full of to us when you come in talking about a toxic relationship that you were in for multiple years. We don't believe you.
I agree. I understand. I get it.
So it wasn't a good situation. Then
Right.
why did you make a baby?
Because, to be honest, when you're
Because you
young,
were having unprotected sex. You weren't young.
right?
You were 26.
When I got pregnant, correct?
You weren't young.
Which I understand. I'm not disagreeing with.
So what I'm saying is, why?
So then why do it, right?
Did you read? Did you listen to what I just read about the woman who was a single mother? Mm-hmm.
I did. So
That's you.
not necessarily every situation is
Okay,
different.
this is what they want to. This is what they want to believe. That yes, that's for them, but I'm special. No, you're not. Men on listen.
Yeah.
Men on.
And guys, I think one of the greatest indictments that add fuel to the fire is that I did a show called Black Love Without Consent. And basically, Black Love Without Consent, hearkening to the concept of the ideal that many times we don't ask men what they want in relationships. And I think Kevin was a great asset to the community. He was such an empowering asset, along with many others. The generals like the Angry Man, Obsidian, and so many more. That's why these spaces are so important. We're winning, man. The message is getting out there. And as I said, this kind of content is not easy to do because you put yourself out there. But when you have a burning passion to see men win, then you do what you think is right. And that's why support for male-centered content is so important. Hold tight, guys. We'll get back into it. Hold on, give me 1 minute. All right, hold tight.
On the open market, find out you have a baby, and they just say she's having sex. Men look at you as men look at single mothers as sexual options first. And I don't care if you believe it. I don't care if you like it. That's the truth.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So that's the point. So I'm saying this for you and for all the other women.
Yeah.
If you choose to make babies before you get married, then you decide. That was a choice you made.
Right.
So you've decided to do it. You were having unprotected sex. You knew what you were doing.
Right.
Y'all could have went to the justice of the peace at any time in those 6 years, but you chose not to. So why did you choose not to?
Because it was mentally, emotionally, and I mean, it was a bad situation. I got into the relationship looking for nothing, to be honest, right? Like how you said before, when people, you don't know, you're not looking for a husband, right? So I was just like out there free willy-nilly. I wasn't looking for anybody. So now that once I decided to leave the situation was because I knew exactly the why, right?
No, it makes no sense to me as a man. That you just decided to see. All this would have been all right as long as you didn't get pregnant.
Which I agree. I'm
So
not saying
but I need you to understand that I was just out here. Do you think that makes it even worse? Because you knew you weren't looking for anything seriously. Why'd you allow yourself to get pregnant?
And I think that's why so many men are frustrated in saying that it's selling when you deal with women that have children or a child, because there's so many contraceptives and so many make so many bad choices. And I can understand why men that have done what they need to do don't want to be with someone that have children, and I don't blame them. That's a man's right. And that's a woman's right. And she don't want to be with a man that got kids by multiple women as well. I think men and women both should have the right to choose and to say what they want. But sadly, here in America, when men say what they want, it's always under this lens of hate.
Bring a kid into this because it's germane to your. Why is this important? Because you're not looking for a husband. You're looking for a stepfather.
at this point, I'm looking for a husband. So I am.
Do you have custody of your child?
I do.
Then, ma'am, you're looking for a step.
Of course,
father.
right. Of course.
It's not at this
right.
point. No. That's no.
It is both. I am looking for a stepfather.
It's a stepfather.
Correct.
First, that's what he would be.
Okay.
See, this is what I mean, ladies. Y'all just play slick and loose. Y'all don't understand that when a man sees you with a kid, he recognizes that that's a package deal, and I got to take care. In the animal kingdom, what happens when the male of the species takes over a female with cubs with offspring from another man? What happens to those offspring?
I don't really know. I don't know animals. Either they have to go under the ruling of the guy, or they just get tossed into the wilderness. I don't really know. I have no clue.
What do you think?
They probably get tossed to the wilderness.
What's tossed into the wilderness mean?
That man doesn't take the cubs as
so tossed into the wilderness means what? The outcome is what?
I'm not.
And you know, guys, there was a time in the past, if a woman had kids out of wedlock, she was humble, she was grateful, she was honored to have a man. But now you have women that got kids by multiple men, and they think they are entitled to top tier men or the best men, and that's why the bar is being raised, and so many men are living their lives once again on their own terms. I think it's refreshing for young men to begin to wake up and say, I'm going to get what's best for me. Once again, guys, donate to the channel, get the likes up, share this stream on this Father's Day afternoon. Thank you.
Really sure.
Think about it. You're an intelligent woman. I'm going to say tossed into the wilderness. You toss a child out into the wilderness, a cub into the wilderness. What happens to it?
To the cub, then
yes,
it's on its own. Okay, it's just on its own.
It's on its own. It's on its own. Really, it's on its own. Until what?
Until it gets older and figures out.
God damn. And I'm doing this, ma'am, to just see if you're going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
They're dead. It's not tossed on its own. Animals who don't reach their majority don't all of a sudden, because you're a cub and they just live, they die.
Right.
Do you know that? Do you understand that, or do you just not want to say it?
No, I get it.
But you didn't say it.
Because I didn't know where you were going with that.
I said, what happens to a cub, a kid on its own? You said it's just on its own until it grows up. I don't think you really want to deal with reality. That the reality is when a male of the species in the mammal kingdom takes over another woman, he kills the cubs. Or they have to leave and take care of themselves. And if they can't, what happens to them?
Like you said, they die, right?
Right. And we're mammals.
Mm-hmm.
Men look at you with another person. He said, damn, my money has to go to feed another man's cub. I don't want to do that. That's already competition. Your child is always going to come first to you. That means a man automatically knows he's going to come second. You're not looking for a husband. You're looking for a stepfather.
And many times, I've seen it many times in therapy where they come even forth. And when I was a young man growing up, I would never do it because I knew what I wanted, because I didn't have kids. I had myself together as a man, and to me, that was settling. So this is not to look down on anyone that have children, but I just never would look at a woman that had kids. That was beneath me. And that's how men were typically back in the 90s. That's what I remember anyway.
You're looking for somebody to be a stepfather who is willing to not throw your child into the wilderness, is willing to step into a father role. And what is he going to get from being such an incredible, benevolent man? What is he going to get? Because you didn't require the man who made the baby to marry you. What are you going to give him that's so great and wonderful that he's going to get for saving you and your cub from the wilderness? So that's not how y'all think about it.
I mean, I can get it. I understand, right? Because there's standards, like there's the standard normal. And I understand, like, I'm not special, but then I also know what I bring to a table.
What is that?
I bring peace. Like, I'm able to bring peace. So
does your child bring peace? Does your child bring peace?
My child does bring peace. And I actually
is a male, is a boy or girl?
A boy.
Okay. I hate to break this to you. That's one of the worst situations to be in, because boys are need to be protected from their mothers.
Right.
Does he have a relationship with his father?
No, his father's not. Has chosen not to be in his life. That's why I said it was a bad situation, right? So.
Well, you picked him.
I did. But that was where I was at that point in time. I'm not disagreeing with a thing that you're saying. That's exactly right.
My point is, and the reason I'm doing this is because women need to know, choosing to have a child for your selfish reasons cost you suitable men.
Potential.
No,
I mean,
no, they do.
In general,
and we need to stop lying. You get the men who will pick you because they don't have better options.
I wouldn't say that though.
Of course you would. Of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. But gentlemen, if you understand what I'm saying, gentlemen, write down in the comment section, because this is a level of disconnect. See, women like yourself think that I just had a baby and I'm peaceful and my kid's good and perfect, so we're really not a bother. And men are just like, I don't care what you say. That's still another man's kid, and there's more food I got to put out. And do you want to have any more children?
Do I want to?
And another thing, guys, there could be a detriment. This is the American standard. But in other countries, if a woman have a child out of wedlock, she's seen as a pariah by many. One is bad, but several or multiple is even worse. And because we live in a matriarchy, so many men have been conditioned not to deal with women of substance, or they just settle. Listen, if you get a woman that got a kid, if you feel comfortable, got kids that they're older, more power to you. I'm not going to knock a man for that. I'm just saying, me personally, in my 20s, or even if I was older, I probably wouldn't do it. I don't knock a man that want to do it, but the men that are single, don't have any kids, they definitely shouldn't do it. Maybe men that have kids or have had kids, I don't know. It's up to them, but I'm just saying, me, I wouldn't do it. I'm not taking care of another man's kids, even if they are grown. But that's just me. I don't knock any man for what he wants to do. It would take a special woman, put it that way. She would have to be extremely special, but in general, I wouldn't do it. Because once again, you can never really discipline that man's kids. And regardless of what that woman says, she's going to always get in her feelings.
I am open to having more kids.
Do you want? So you're open. So yeah. How many more children could a man get from you?
I mean, a couple more.
A couple more kids. So understand that if a man had 2 children with you, every time he put food in your child's mouth, he's taking food out of his other 2 kids' mouth. That's how our minds think.
Right, and I get it.
So you ladies need to understand what you bring that's so great and wonderful. Because I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be unpopular, but single mothers got to do far more than single mothers got to do more than single women.
Right.
Because single women are looking for husbands. You're looking for stepdads.
Right.
And you try to say like it's both. No, it's a stepdad first. Because the man has to say, I got to take that on automatically. That means on the day of our wedding, this little crumb snatcher is going to be with us. On our honeymoon, this crumb snatcher is going to be waiting for us. Mm-hmm. I don't get one day with my wife in my new home without this little crumb snatcher being here. Every day I'm there, we got to worry about this person before it can get to me. That's men are territorial.
I get it, yeah.
Even with their own children.
Right.
So, and if you had to pick between your husband and your daughter, what you going to pick?
My son.
Your husband or your son, what you going to pick?
And did you guys hear what she just said, guys? She's going to pick her son. And listen, that's her biological imperative. Her biological imperative. And in general, most women are solipsistic or very insular. So they're going to love themselves and they're going to love their children because their children came out of you, out of them. So you would be a damn fool to come in 2nd or 3rd place or 4th place when you don't have kids. You should always come number 1, consistent with the word. Honor thy fathers first and thy mother. And then everything else will take care of itself. But this is why, guys, when you are single men that don't have kids, you could end up being caught up in a bunch of BS. And being a father many times is a thankless job. But being a stepfather is a greater or more thankless job because you don't have rights or say so over that child. And I see it many times, guys, in practice.
I mean,
I said your husband or your son? What you gonna pick?
I would pick my husband if I'm married. I grew up with my parents are still married.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So if your husband, so let's just say for sake of argument,
okay,
your son becomes just irascible.
Yeah.
And at 16 years old, he's just a problem. Mm-hmm. And your husband says, we need to put him out.
I mean, if he can't shape up, to be honest, you can't disrespect my husband. It's that simple.
Right.
It's that simple.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is because women, you need to ask yourself questions that seriously. Because you like your son and love your son. Right. You think that we don't look at your kids that way. They're not assets to us. They're all liabilities.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, how do you overcome that when this woman over here has no kids? You got to over deliver.
Right.
So where are you learning to, and this is a conversation based upon, and how we got here is because you said you're looking for both a stepfather and a husband. I'm like, no, it's a stepfather first.
Yeah.
Are you dating anyone? Have you dated anyone seriously since you had your child?
Yeah, I have.
What's the longest relationship you've had?
Since my son's dad, almost 2 years.
Almost 2? Almost
2 years.
And how old was your son?
How old was he? It ended last year.
So he was over 3 years old.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So why didn't, and you guys were in a monogamous committed relationship?
We were, but because I do understand the element and the pressure of children in a relationship, I don't bring that in there, right?
So he didn't meet your kid?
He did not meet my child.
Wait.
Yeah, it was long distance.
So it really wasn't a relationship.
It was.
No, it wasn't. Long distance relationships aren't real.
I get it. Okay.
So how long were you with you were with a man long distance for 2 years and you never met your son. That's not a real relationship.
I mean, to each his own, right? But I can understand.
No, it's not. See, creating their own reality. Ma'am, a real relationship implies you live in the same place and you're close enough to relate. Long distance means you make a trip and you have to be on your best for a short period of time. So don't tell me to each his own, because you know there's a difference between living. And the reason I'm starting to lose my patience is because you're 30. How old?
I'm 36.
But it sounds like I'm talking to a late teen, early 20 something.
Does it?
Yeah. Okay. Then I'm sitting here trying to tell you that a long distance relationship is not a real relationship. Well, to each his own. Okay. You ain't even let nobody meet your kid. Okay. Would your stepfather be able to, would your husband be able to discipline your son?
Would I allow that? Yes. Absolutely.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Has any other man ever disciplined your son?
Yes.
His father?
My first relationship, like serious relationship after his father.
And how long were you guys together?
We were together a short time. He was coming out of a relationship.
How long?
Honest, he was coming out of a marriage.
How long?
For 6 months. It was like 6-7 months. It wasn't a long time.
And how was your son?
At that time, he was, I think, 3 or 4.
And the guy you were with 6 months had the ability to discipline your son. Not
like spank him, but like, hey, I guess redirect, right?
That's not discipline.
Well, I consider that to a point discipline, but
this is why this is so much. That's not discipline.
Okay, I get it, but yeah, disciplining is what, like, chastising, right? Like that's
discipline is whooping his ass.
Right? Yeah.
That's why Kevin was so controversial, man. He was stern, and I think a lot of women are not used to stern men. Or stern men speaking the way that he speaks, but also similar to James Evans. And once again, when men like James Evans or men of the past begin to speak and be definitive and assertive, and when our girls or boys or whatever try to cajole them and say no, they become incensed or sensitive and say that they are bad people. We're going to end the stream in a minute, guys, but in the meantime, get the likes up once again and donate to the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Father's Day. This has been a great show. And if you guys like what I'm doing, please support it.
He got to put food in his stomach and the roof over his head like he's his real daddy, don't he?
If I'm married, correct.
Right. So he should be able to whoop his ass like he's his real father.
Yeah.
But my point, but that's easier said than done because you've never known.
It's a conversation that I do have with my child, and
it's a conversation you do have with who?
With my child. I mean, he understands firmly as to where I'm at with that, and so that's why I raise him a certain way. Mm-hmm. He's around family.
That ain't got nothing to do with another man.
Well, which I get, right? But
ma'am, you haven't had, ma'am, due respect. Yeah. It's all theoretical with you.
Okay.
Your son has not been around a man long term.
He has not, correct.
So you don't know what you're gonna do. And this is a problem. You ladies just talk like just because you believe something that sounds good, but that's what's gonna happen on the ground. You're a mama. You ain't never had to co-parent with nobody else. What you say goes, your word is law. And men know this going into it, especially if they can hear what I've heard. Date you for fun, but marry somebody else that has less baggage. Because You don't even talk like a woman who is really seriously preparing herself to be a wife to somebody and having your child come under somebody else's discipline and structure and leadership.
Like why? Like how? Why you would say I don't sound like? Because I just haven't heard. We haven't had that dialogue, right? As to
what? Who's we haven't had what dialogue? Who's we?
You and I.
Like, I'm very good at what I do, and the questions I've asked, I've been able to glean quite a bit from the way you answer questions. To each his own. No, man, it's not. Yeah, I'm looking for a stepfather. No, I'm looking for both. No, you think you come across as a woman who thinks that because you and your son coexist in a happy, simple way, that a man would come in and would just be a bolt on and it would just be automatic. That your son.
But I don't think that though.
I said you come across. Okay. Have your son has never had to see his mama. Well, your 2-year relationship. Mm-hmm. That boy didn't meet that man. That's a problem.
Okay.
Why didn't he meet him for 2 years?
I said, it was a while, but yeah, it was intentional.
Why? That's the question.
Because of comfortability,
What does that mean?
I'm the kind of person that I like to make sure that whoever I'm dealing with is 100% comfortable in a situation, right? So, and that's an element of bringing someone some sort of...
Talk to me like I'm 4 years old. Stop using all the big words, please. Just tell me why.
Big words?
Yeah, because you're trying to...
No.
Just say the truth.
Well, that is the truth. Like, if you're not necessarily comfortable with... You haven't dated somebody that has children.
So you didn't meet your son because he wasn't comfortable with your son?
Well, no, not that, but he just hadn't dated anybody that had children.
All right, but fine. You were with him for 2 years.
Right. And then it is long distance that had children.
All right, but fine. You were with him for 2 years.
Right. And then it is long distance at the same time. So.
Not serious. That's what I'm saying. My ultimate point is, ma'am, there's so many red flags. Ding, 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 ding. 2 years, you said you dated somebody. Y'all were monogamous, supposedly?
Mm-hmm. And
he didn't meet your son? Your son knew you had a boyfriend.
Correct.
But he had never met him.
Correct.
And he never wanted to meet him.
He did. He did.
Mother, son of a bitch.
All right, guys. That's enough of that. I think this has been a good show. I think we'll land the plane here. I think you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. Father's Day is important. Male mental health is important. Male rights is important. And getting with a woman that respect and honor you is equally important. Shout out to all the great fathers. Shout out to all the great men on today. And we're going to end this stream, guys. And if you are in need of mental health service, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate all that you guys do. And get your mental health taken care of. And guys, we're about to sign off in a minute. Thank you.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man. And a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
All right, guys. Thank you once again for tuning in, guys. And we're going to end this stream. And guys, you get you some rest. Enjoy your rest of your Sunday afternoon. And happy Father's Day to all the great fathers out there. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. And we are signing off.
With my friends ends low, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night. 1-to-1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brother's blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose the fam of the cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that. Pressure like water, lights, mortgage. I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for nothing. Me, I go to war for something.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was.
When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, ain't all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if it all pretend? What if you roll to the end? What if you started again?
Fire! The kosher clinician.